Let me ask you the question. Do you agree with what the commissioner did yesterday?
I do.
Have
I
you?
do. I just think I think he's done more work than you can imagine to try to figure this out. I think it had to be agreed upon by the Hall of Fame, though. I think that was a question mark that had to be done. Jane is the person that's basically, wants the sanctification of the Hall of Fame, and that it hopefully all members of the Hall of Fame, although we know there's been question marks about it, whether it be PEDs or whether it be past history or people that have been elected to the Hall of Fame. But for the commissioner, I know personally that I've talked to him. I know there's others that have talked to him. I know that he's trying to get the temperature of what it was. I think the temperature was mixed. I think the voting is 61%. I think the percentages were one way or the other with some Hall of Famers. Do you take a poll of the Hall of Famers? Do you take a poll of the writers? Do you take a poll of just the Danettes? And I think you're going to wind. Well, I mean, there are fans, and
Yes.
they understand the what has happened with Pete and with the Black Sox scandals. I mean, the one person. I mean, as you know, Ted Williams was a staunch supporter of Shoeless Joe Jackson, and they keep saying, well, there was no evidence against it, and he hit 3-something or 400. So I guess the feel is, all I can say is it is a perfect time for this thing to come out, because right now, as we prepare for the day, I am not in Cincinnati, but they are honoring Pete at the stadium. There'll be 42,000 people coming out, and maybe more now that this announcement has been done. But for the Rose family, I'm extremely happy for them that it's all somewhat behind us.
Why wait until Pete dies?
Well, I think that there was some concern that he wanted to get into the game of baseball, as far as what has been talked about. He wanted to still be a manager or something like that. I think that created some problems. The fact that whether somebody would actually hire him at this point, or what position he would be in. And I think there was still, okay, we still have to have a certain caution here. We got to put up some yellow flags, and in most cases, a lot of red flags, and make sure that none of this happens. I really believe it was a push by so many people. I think the commissioners ruled on it twice. I know Bud Selig ruled on it 2 or 3 times, and the consensus was that he was not going to. He was permanently banned, and so I think they're cutting hairs a little bit on whether, now that he's deceased, now it's okay.
You probably know this better than anybody. How do you think Pete would react today if he were alive?
About damn time. What took him so long? About damn time. No, I think he wanted to be voted on. I think he felt like he never had that opportunity and everything else. And I think that was his one thing. I think he always believed that had he been on the ballot, that he would have been voted into the Hall of Fame. Now, what the Hall of Fame has not done, I think, is make a space for Pete in the Hall. And we honor different groups of baseball players. We honor catchers, or we honor we honor the heroes and what is baseball, and legends and everything else. I think there's a perfect spot for the Hall of Fame so many ways. And I think you'll see it in Cincinnati on the board today. I think they'll highlight all the things and the person that he was. 145 pounds. He was not drafted. He had to have a scout, which was an uncle, to give him a tryout. Then he winds up being an all-star at 5 different positions. Then he wins the MVP of the World Series. These are all things that you can honor him with and praise him for. And I think I heard Mike Schmidt talking about the fact that, and the other players on MLB talking about the fact that they wanted to be like Pete. They wanted to play like Pete. They wanted to head first slide. They wanted to do all things. He was a personification of hustle and attitude and love for the game of baseball. And the rules are the rules. But for Pete, I think he should be honored at the Hall of Fame just with video. But you also tell the story of why and why this happened and what the ramifications are.
I think the immediate reaction from a lot of people was Pete's going to get into the Hall of Fame. And I've cautioned my audience to say they're not going to vote on this till December of 2027. And there's other guys on that ballot like Steve Garvey and Louis Tiant and, some really good players. Shoeless Joe Jackson's going to be on there as well. So it's not a foregone conclusion Pete gets in or even gets on the ballot. But, it's going to be a process here. And people should realize that.
I think we can assume that his name will be there. I think there's going to be the need for that to happen. But I think there's guys, they've been on, some of these guys have been on the ballot for 20 years. I mean, they keep thinking, or they'll think. And famous words of Frank Robinson and Bob Feller, and this isn't for the good, this is for the great. And so, and that is exactly the way it was framed. And so here we are at this point saying, okay, we know Pete Rove's great. Good gosh, he's 4,256 hits, and all the teams that he helped in all the World Series, we know it's there. But I think that would be the ultimate honor. But again, we're going to take 12 or 16 guys. We're going to take 4 owners. We're going to take 4 media, and we're going to take 8 players. And we're going to have to get 12 votes. And, Marvin Miller didn't make it in forever because the owners were never going to vote for him because they felt like during the drug situation, he could have controlled that better. And yet he had to allow players to get off of the drugs before they could test them. And that's why it took long that. And you could also say that Sosa and the PEDs and McGuire saved the game of baseball. All of these things are suppositions. All these things are not proven, but all these things are true. And so now you got to get 12 guys to go to 16 guys to go into a room, and you got to have 12 yeses.